Hello guys, this is Greek here from TCO Gaming, and we're going to do a short performance review about the GTX 660 Superclocked card from NVIDIA. The system specs are in the video description. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Now, let's take a look at PlanetSide 2. If you look at the bottom left side of the screen, you can see our FPS rate in game. Now keep in mind, PlanetSide 2 is a very CPU hungry game. Some reviews have mentioned that graphics cards like the GTX 690 drops to 45 frames per second in congested areas. So this game really depends on how well your processor works in avoiding that bottleneck situation. All settings are set to high with motion blur and ambient occlusion off, and even whilst recording there were no lag spikes or a drop in frame rates. It's worth mentioning that when the game gets hectic with full vehicular battles in small areas, the game does tend to lag. However, this is an issue of the game and has been noted by the community, so let's hope that a patch is in the pipeline. Now if you want to buy a 660 for this game, make sure your CPU is good enough to cope, and I recommend putting the game on medium settings or even lower, as the game will still look pleasing to the eye. Now on to Far Cry 3. This has to be one of the best games to play on ultra settings. I mean, this game is stunning. In fact, it's jaw-dropping. Now before the 660 we played this game with the 650 with the same CPU, and we got around 40 to 70 frames per second on medium settings. However, with the 660 you can play this game with ultra settings, and let's face it, why wouldn't you want to do that? The minimum frames per second we clocked is around 45, whilst the average FPS was around 60 to 70. It is worth mentioning that at times we did notice it was running at 100 frames per second. However, whilst recording, some parts did drop to 30 frames. Yet we did not notice any lag issues related with the 660 whilst playing. Now we've heard that the game works better on AMD graphics cards as opposed to the NVIDIA ones. However, they do cost a lot more, so if you are on a budget, we do recommend you go for the 660 Superclocked. Finally, we have come to Battlefield 3, and this is my personal favourite game. Now we're playing Battlefield 3 with full ultra settings, with motion blur and ambient occlusion turned off. And the 660 is very capable of running Battlefield 3 on ultra, averaging around 50 to 65 frames per second in game, with some maps getting above 100 frames per second. We did notice with some of the DLCs, in particular Aftermath and Endgame, you do get a small dip, but it's barely noticeable. And in case you didn't know guys, if you play on a HDMI cable you won't be able to choose a higher refresh rate for your monitor. A VGA cable and a DVI will give you that option. So for Battlefield 3 we decided to play on a 75Hz monitor, and the difference is quite big. In fact, it's so big we're even contemplating buying a 120Hz or 144Hz monitor. And the 660 is quite capable of staying above 144 frames per second in Battlefield. Of course it would mean lowering down your video settings. Alright guys, so time to wrap this video up. And the conclusion is this. The GTX 660 Superclocked is a really good bit of kit, and we cannot recommend this high enough, especially if you're looking for a new graphics card or you're on a budget for your new gaming rig. If you're that guy who's fortunate enough not to really care and just wants to play on all their games that he has on ultra settings, then the 660 Ti or the 670 will be right for you. Other than that guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave comments in the comment section below letting us know what you'd like to see in the future, and see you guys soon. Greek is out of here.